Hello and welcome to episode 245 of Page One, the Writers Podcast. I'm Marco.
I'm Tarek.
And thanks for joining us on the podcast where we like to speak to writers of all kinds about their writing careers, find out how they got into the industry and try and get as many hints and tips from them as possible. And there's a whole back catalogue of great guests there, great authors, screenwriters, journalists, comedians and more there. But you will also find some episodes with what we call the industry episodes, where we're speaking to people on the other side of the fence, agents, editors, and the like. And we're doing a run of those just now. We've recently had Liza de Block and Ed Wilson on, both literary agents, and we've got another leading UK literary agent on this week.
We do indeed. This week we're chatting with the wonderful David Headley of DHH Literary Agency, who is a very well-known agent in the world. He's like many. He's kind of got to start through a literary background, but via a bookshop this time. Goldsboro Books, of course, is the bookshop that he runs in London. A host of various author launches. I think countless author book launches have been held there over the years.
Special editions as well.
Special editions, first editions of lovely, exciting. I remember I've been in there a few times, and they've got I think the most expensive book they had I saw at that point was an Ian Fleming first edition, which I can't remember how much it was, but it was very cool. So if you're a fan of first edition books and expensive books,
it's in a street. What is the street it's on in London? I can't remember what it's called.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe that's right. And it's a lovely little street of like it's got bookshops and map shops, and it's just it's a
fairy lights strung up down the street and stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It feels like kind of like a Diagon Alley type.
Yeah, I think
street,
that's right. Yeah, that sort of place. So it's a nice street to wander down, but a lovely bookshop as well. And yeah, David, as you say, lots of experience in the publishing world, both as a bookseller and now as a literary agent. And he tells us a lot about the state of, agenting and the publishing world itself at the moment, and what's selling, what isn't selling, and why things are maybe getting hard to sell in the current environment as well. Which isn't great news, but it's good to know about these things. I guess.
I know it does feel like a number of agents in the last few weeks have been telling us how hard a market it is right now. I think for people trying to sell books and break in and stuff. It seems people are just not, for whatever reason, just really buying as many books, or both. I think readers and sellers. It doesn't seem to be as much impact as it was recently. But
definitely, and taking more of a chance, I guess, on the established names rather than
I think that's right.
Like that. But it's a really interesting chat with David. So we'll get straight into it after a quick advert. If you're listening to this as a podcast, for our writer's notebook, and I will also take the chance to mention our Patreon, which you can support the podcast on to help us continue to get great guests on the podcast. There's all sorts of benefits if you join the Patreon, including early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and much more. So please do check out the Patreon. The link is in the podcast description. But enough from me, Tarek.
On with the podcast.
So when we have authors on the podcast, my opening question is to say, did you always want to be a writer? And I would ask, did you always want to be an agent? But I think you had higher ambitions at one point. You wanted to be a priest, is that right?
I did. I have never wanted to be a writer. At least I've never wanted to be a storyteller, because I think there are so many talented writers out there. I could never ever be as talented as them, and I wouldn't ever want to do anything that I couldn't give 100% to. But yes, I did train to be a priest. I trained to be a priest from 18 till 23, and they were the best years of my life in many ways, because it gave me the life that I've got now. So I'm eternally grateful to that education and the structure that it gave my life. It was amazing, and I'll always be grateful for that. But I was never meant to be a priest. I found a different vocation, earning no money and being poor as a bookseller and a literary agent. So.
Well, I mean, because am I right in saying that you co-founded the bookstore Goldsboro Books after you'd left uni, obviously, but you'd already had some experience selling books online before then?
Certainly, once I'd left the seminary, I became, well, I was already a book collector. I've loved books all my life. But Daniel and I, who set up Goldsboro Books 26 years ago yesterday,
Wow,
um,
congratulations.
thank you. We're both book lovers and book collectors. And actually, we'd met at college and we became great friends and we went book buying. We didn't have a lot of money because when you train to be a priest, you get a small amount of money. And I wasn't from a very rich background. I'm from a very working class background, a very modest working class background in York. And I didn't have a lot of money, but I loved buying books. And I discovered quite early on that first editions were quite collectible and a good investment. So that's how Goldsboro Books started, because we were both book collectors. So I'd left the priesthood. Daniel had left before. And then we were talking one day about being book collectors. Ultimately, how it grew was we would go shopping and we'd find one or two signed copies, and we were like drug dealers basically. We were buying more than we could. We were buying 2 or 3 copies, and we were selling those to feed our habit to buy more books. And that's how we started. So we started in 1996 selling books, but in 1999 we had realized that we could make a business from this. So 96, 97, and then so 99, absolutely, we set up the company on the 30th of September 1999. So that was the incarnation of what has become the greatest, my proudest thing in my life. I think I'm proud of many things, but Goldsboro Books is my first child, and I love it.
But I mean, now obviously, as you allude to there, it's obviously become, very well known, Goldsboro Books, and hosts book launches and all sorts of special edition books and all of that sort of thing. I mean, how steadily was that? Did that grow, or were there periods of ups and downs in that business?
Yeah, so when we set up Goldsboro Books, originally I was working full time for a little company unknown to you. It's called Vodafone, and I had a really great job. I was a business development manager for Vodafone, and I was earning a lot of money. I was looking after the government contract, which was, I think, it was £5 billion contract, something like that. But I was earning a good amount of money, and I was pumping money from my salary into Goldsboro Books. I wasn't running Goldsboro Books full time. Daniel was, and we employed this young woman called Thalia, who we lost a few years ago. And if you know anything about capital crime, we honour her by giving a lifetime achievement award in her name, because she was a good friend of ours and she helped us grow Goldsboro. We were told by lots of people it would not work selling only signed first editions, and that's what Goldsboro Books does. We don't charge more. I mean, you can get the same book from us that you can get from other bookstores, but ours are first editions and they're signed. We do create and we curate special editions that are a little bit more expensive, but that's because there's more work goes into those books. But I didn't leave Vodafone until 2005. So for the first 6 years of Goldsboro Books' life, I was working and pumping money into the business, and I built a nest egg basically that allowed me to leave my job and then come and run Goldsboro. I knew that without me running the company, this is going to sound arrogant. I don't mean it to sound arrogant, but I knew that it wouldn't survive if I didn't give 100% to the company. I needed to come in, and I needed to build. I had lots of ideas on how to build the company. It was doing okay, but it wasn't doing what it needed to do. And there were a couple of times I really thought we would lose the company. But I left in 2005 Vodafone, and I launched a book club in April 2005. And that book club is now called Premier at Goldsboro. It's the largest signed first edition book club in the world. And that's one of the reasons that made Goldsboro's book successful.
Okay. And I mean, it sounds like you've found this success. You've built the bookshop up. You've got the subscription services going, which I think I've only seen grow more and more these subscription services where a number of different genres all over the place. So, it seems like a massive way, especially in the sci-fi fantasy. You're seeing these huge numbers. So you've kind of built this bookshop up, but then what made you want to then make that jump away from that, or to diversify further into agenting then?
Madness. I kept meeting authors. They were coming in to sign. Some were agented, some were not. Some had lost an agent. At one particular, I won't mention names, but one of these authors came to me and asked me to help them get a publishing deal. And I gave their book to a literary agent who went and got them a significant literary deal. And I thought, arrogantly, I could have done that. I knew that person. But then I made an effort to make some friends with some agents, and I learned a little bit about agenting. And then I bought a book called From Pitch to Publication by Carol Blake, a brilliant agent, Blake Friedman, who's no longer with us. But I made friends with her and I asked her advice and she helped me. And I made friends with Brew Doherty, who is now at my agency, but she had her own agency before. And I thought, arrogantly, I could be a literary agent. But actually, I always say to people, being a literary agent is like being a bookseller. I read a book and I know a great book when I read one. Mm-hmm. When I get a submission, I know a really great book when I read one. So I kind of know how a book needs to be edited. I know where an author needs to work a little bit more, because as a reader, I know what works for me and what doesn't. Mm. And I think I'm just an everyday reader. I don't think I'm anything special, but I do know a great story when I read one. Mm. And so, yes, anyway, I set myself up as an agent. I took my first client on. I sold his book within 48 hours of reading it. He then sent me another manuscript and said, this is a very different book. Do you think this would work? So I sent it out on submission. I sold it within a week. So he had two book deals. And I thought, I can do this. And then it was hard. It's been hard since. So publishers are a unique beast. I think, again, just talking about my relationship with the priesthood and my faith and all of that kind of thing, and just being trained in the way that I was to work with people, to understand people, to listen to people. Those are great gifts to have as a literary agent. They've helped me so much, and I don't know whether my clients will like me or not, but they don't leave me, so I can't be that bad.
What do you think of yourself? Like, do you think of yourself primarily as a bookseller or an agent, or is it both?
When I said I think that I'm just a bookseller, I think I'm a bookseller, but I'm a literary agent. I mean, I spend most of my life as a literary agent. I'm the MD of Goldsboro Books, and I have a team of great people, and they run Goldsboro Books. I'm not a bookseller anymore. I don't work on a bookstore shop floor. I did yesterday come in, and the shop was really busy, and I wanted to help the team out because there was a lot of people, and this gentleman started to talk to me, and I sold him £400 worth of books, and I thought, I really missed this. But I was rushing off for another meeting, and I was just like, I want to be on the shop floor to talk to someone. I want to talk to customers. There was a couple of customers that had been with us for a long time and just wanted to say hello to me. And that is ultimately a real joy. My office is below the bookstore. I really love being a bookseller. I just don't have time to do it as much as I would love to. I mean, I read so many books. I probably read about 4 to 5 books a week, and wow. I choose all of the books for the Book of the Month clubs, and I choose all of the subscription special editions, all of those kind of things. I read a lot. To answer your questions, I am a full-time literary agent, and how I have built my business is that I compartmentalize everything. So I treat Goldsboro like a client. When it needs my time, I give it my time. When my clients need my time, I give it my time. I prioritize everything that's urgent. I basically have plates. I just keep spinning them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they drop, but that's life.
But I mean, another plate that you have spinning, of course, is the Capital Crime Festival, which is, started in 2019, and I think it's just gotten bigger and bigger every year at the moment. I mean, I get the impression, looking at your portfolio of work, I suppose, that your agency stuff, your bookshop, your festival, everything kind of feeds off each other. Everything kind of, it's quite organic. There's quite a nice connection there that everything links.
There's an ecosystem. I've built
exactly.
my old ecosystem, and some people like that, and some people don't, and I don't care. I'm an ambitious entrepreneur. I want to make money. I want to. I work with amazing people. So the success of my businesses are because I've employed amazing people. Tyreek, you've got an amazing agent. He started with me as a bookseller and my assistant, and he's now one of the most respected science fiction and genre agents in the UK. He's a terrific man. I just see talent in people, and they then support me and make my businesses, and I make them directors. Harry's the director, and I invite them to be part of my companies. My businesses are successful because of the people that I've surrounded myself with. Capital Crime is successful because I have Lizzie Curl, who runs it. She's a festival director. I think she's phenomenal. I don't take any credit for work that I don't do. They work really hard. I just pay the bills. I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about money and being more successful, and my little cat, and how can I be more? No. What else? Because they say, please don't have any holidays, because when you come back from holiday, you've got a new idea. And I went on holiday this July for 10 days, the longest holiday I've had in years, actually. And I came back, and I'm about to launch a new subscription box called Fresh Ink, which is a debut literary subscription box.
Oh, cool.
Launched that in January.
Nice.
I had a holiday. I had time to think. More work, even more work.
You obviously don't like being quiet. You obviously like the constant work, the constant churn of stuff.
I love being creative. I love books. I love reading, and I want more people to read books. Next year we celebrate a year of reading. There is a big campaign from the government and from bookish organisations. We're going to get more people reading, hopefully more younger people reading. When I was about 7 years old, I read Danny Champion of the World by Roald Dahl, and that changed my life. And I've said that so many times. I can't tell you what books did for me. They literally have changed my life, and I want everyone to feel that visceralness that you get, that feeling that when you've read a book, how it has emotionally impacted you, how it has made you think, how it has maybe changed your perception of the way that you think about something. Mm-hmm. I do it because I love books, and that's the be all and end all of it. I'm not that bothered about being rich. I would like to be richer. But as I said, if I wanted, it's madness. I could have gone and done something completely different with all my money and been even more rich. But actually, would I have been rich in the way that I am with the people that work with me, and the love of books that I have, and all the talented writers that I work with? Like I feel incredibly blessed.
Yeah, and we'll get on to the agenting detail stuff that our listeners and viewers probably want to hear about, submissions and stuff in a moment. But just staying on the book selling thing, what trend, how has it changed as a bookseller? What has changed? Because as you alluded to there, it does seem that younger people, especially I think younger boys, tend not to read as much as they used to, and things like that. What has changed, and how can we bring more people back to books, do you think? Big question, I know.
Yeah, no, well, again, it is a big question. I mean, I think about this a lot. There is so much out there. There are the games. There's there's everything is available on a screen to people. You can see why younger people are obsessed with TikTok and all of those social media platforms. I think it comes down to getting that book into the hands of the child early, and they have that feeling, that excitement, and they want to keep on feeling that, because it is like a drug. I think we just need to be more encouraging about people having time. My hope is, and I was at a dinner 2 weeks ago. We were talking about subscription boxes, myself and a young woman who runs another subscription box. I think people are getting bored of being on screen all the time, and certainly I think the physical book form is so different, and I think that tangible feeling, I think that one of the things that you see now is all of these beautiful books coming. Younger people are reading books because they look beautiful. I think that is going to drive younger people to read, making books more beautiful and making them more accessible. It's remarkable to me about how many schools don't have a library. I mean, it's disgraceful and shocking. And it's also shocking to me that some kids don't have books in their houses. And we have to change that. We have to get books into younger people's hands, and I'll do whatever I can to support that. We have a social outreach at my the festival. We invite school children to Capital Crime to meet authors. As a working class boy, I know how hard it is to not have things, and if I can help, I will. So things need to change in that way, but we do need to make books more accessible.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, switching tack slightly onto the agenting side of things, which I think a lot of listeners will be very intrigued to hear about. I kind of wanted to ask you a few general questions, about, I guess, the day-to-day side of things. How many submissions do you tend to get a day, a week, and when do you read them? What is there a typical day? I'm guessing not, but what is your life like?
Yeah. So I probably get about 400 submissions a month, and I read usually first thing on the morning. I'll dip in because I don't want to miss a really great submission. It depends on what my schedule is like. It depends on what pressures I'm under to deliver for my clients that make me money. So they are my priority. My businesses are my priority. Submissions I dip into probably 3 times a week. And I'll spend about 40 minutes to an hour looking through, and then I'll send the ones that I'm interested to my Kindle, and I have a Kindle to read manuscripts and things. So I send those to them and I'll read, and if there's anything of any interest. So I'll probably read the first chapter. If I really like it, then I'll forward it. So that's how it is. But I have to say, I haven't taken on anyone from my submission list for months, because I'm getting lots of good stuff. I haven't found anything remarkable. And good at the moment, and I feel bad saying this, but good isn't good enough at the moment. And I just don't have time to do lots of editorial work that most of these books would need. I have taken on a few clients recently, but that they've come via recommendation, or they've come through some kind of client has introduced me. But that doesn't mean to say that I wouldn't take someone on. I got an email this morning from someone saying, I believe you've got a really great submission in your inbox, because I've just spoken to them. So I will dip in and I'll take a look. The issue for me is that I've got 44 clients and they're all writing different books, and I don't want to take on another client that's writing in the same genre or the same way, because I don't want to take oxygen away from the client that I already represent. And ultimately, at the moment, and again, it sounds quite depressing, I don't think I've ever experienced the publishing industry as tough as it is at the moment. Books are just not selling.
Why is that, you think?
For a number of reasons. I do think that people are cautious about spending money. I do think there is a cost of living crisis, and I don't think we're talking about it enough. I do think that people are being more mindful about how much money they're spending. But if you look at the book charts, people are tending to buy the brand authors. They're not really giving debut authors an opportunity because they don't want to risk spending that money that they have
Yeah.
on a book that's unknown. So obviously Richard Osman again is at number one this week, 145,000 copies of a hardback, which is
Crazy numbers.
extraordinary. But it's tried and tested. People
Yeah.
know what they're getting. His agent must be rolling in it. No, I'm joking.
I guess it's the same with J.K. Rowling and the Galbraith stuff. I mean, that was number one, and that was 30 quid RRP, which is, I never heard of a book that expensive before, but and selling that number. But as you say, it is just people know what they're getting, and it's a safe bet, I suppose.
And I suppose the Robert Galbraith, you're getting 900 pages of you're getting a novel that you're going to read all week. Or, I mean, lots of people I know are slow readers. I would have read that book in 3 days. I haven't read it yet. I'm saving it, but I do love them. And actually, I also listen to the audiobooks because Emily, who is an agent at my agency, her dad narrates them. So I love listening to his narration.
Okay.
Yeah, Robert Glenister is an actor, and he does a brilliant job at narrating those books. So I actually do enjoy listening to them.
Robert Glenister, is that the guy from BBC stuff?
Yeah,
Life on Mars and everything.
No, it's Phil Glenister. That's his brother.
That's his brother. Oh yeah, no, that's right. There's two of them. I didn't realize that Emily was related to him. Oh, that's a good fact.
Yeah, Robert's her dad. And,
brilliant.
Yeah, she comes from an acting family. Her mum's also a famous actress. So
that's cool.
Actor, do we call it? We don't call it. Yeah. So anyway, yes, people are buying those books, and I think the market is struggling. I think there's a lot of genre books doing incredibly well. So there's obviously romantasy, fantasy. That's a big genre at the moment. People are investing in those. I'm not saying that books are not working generally, but it's getting harder. And if you think that we've really only got one retailer, and we have, because Dawn runs Waterstones and he runs Foyles and Blackwells, and they're determining what people are reading. So independents are working hard to try and give new voices to readers, but the market is tough at the moment, and supermarkets have really pared back on what they're taking. So the market is tough, and I'm sure all of the authors listening out there to this might have heard this from their agents and might be thinking, it's just an excuse. It really is possibly the worst experience that I've experienced in publishing since I've become an agent. I've been an agent 18 years now.
Okay.
And do you think this is a blip, or do you think this is just the way the market's going to be going forward? I suppose if it's linked to the cost of living crisis, then
I think things have to improve, and the government have to do something to make people feel a little bit less poor. But it's not just about the finances; it's about the mental feelings of people. So I just feel so desperate outside in the world at the moment. I mean, if you look at what's working, it's the cozy not market. It's cozy, light reads, basically. Something that's just a less dark. Quite dark books are not working at the moment because people are experiencing that in life. So it seems to me that next year we're going to see a lot more cozy crime, a lot more light for fiction. It seems to me that that's because people are just fed up of listening and reading it on the news. So that seems to be these big sweeping love stories probably. And romantic fantasy because it's escapist fiction. People just want to escape the reality of the world. I just think we need, as a country, to have a bit of a brighter outlook. And at the moment, I just don't know where that's going to come from. I could get into politics if you want, but this is not the right podcast.
Does that kind of mindset influence you when you are looking at your submissions? Like, are you looking at stuff and because obviously you get the query letter, you get the synopsis, you get the chapters. How do you approach that? And do you have one? I mean, obviously you do have one mind on the market and where this book would sit, and but how do you approach that package when you first open it up?
to be honest, it is about the writing. It doesn't matter where the book is set or how it's set up. If the writing is amazing, if that cover letter really gets my attention, and then I start reading it, and I think I know I'm in the hands of a proper writer, a confident writer with a confident voice, then I will want to keep reading. It doesn't matter where it's at, because there is a market for every book. You just need to know, if the book's really great, I need to know where I'm going to sell that book, or at least I have to feel I know where I'm going to sell that book. And sometimes you read a book. A couple of years ago, a book came on submission. It was Friday afternoon, and I read it until about 9 o'clock at night, and I called the author, and who didn't answer. And I was like, "You've sent it to me. Why are you not answering my call? How dare you have a life outside of writing?" And they were on holiday in Greece, and I got hold of them on Saturday morning. I said, "I need to represent this book." I did not know whether that book would sell. I thought it might. Actually, I sent out on submission. It was preempted and bought within about a week. So, yeah, I mean, every journey for every author is very different. And, I might take on an author, and I might love that book, and I might go on submission with it, and it might not sell. But I'm still invested in that person as a writer, so I'll just ask them to write another book, and we'll curb that book, and we'll leave it, and we'll come back to it, because it is a craft. And I hate to say this, but just because you've written a novel doesn't mean to say that it is going to sell. It is a craft. You will hone your skills, and when you're 10 books down the line, you'll be like, yeah, I can see what David was saying about that book now, because I've honed my craft, and I can go back to that story because it's a great story, but it needs work.
We've definitely talked to people who said that exact same thing, that they've took them 4 books to get picked up, and they look back on that first book now and they say, well, I can see why this wasn't picked up, because it was it's just like anything, it's practice and learning and improvement.
You've got to have the belief in your craft, and you've got to have the belief in the book, but it doesn't mean to say that your book is going to sell on its first round, which is a shame, because it's a lot of work to write a book. That's why I never want to do it. And obviously, now that I'm an agent and I represent all of those authors, and I see, and even my husband is a writer,
that's right.
I never want to do that to myself. I don't want to do that to myself. I'd just rather read. You write the great books, I'll read them, because I will not sit there and whip and flagellate myself just because no, thank you. No, you do that. I'll happily read. Thanks so much.
And focusing, I guess, on the query package and that query letter, maybe to begin with, what would you say are the do's and don'ts in that? Is there something, are there things that will put you off a letter immediately, and you just won't even bother moving forward with that?
Yes, and I've spoken about this lots of times, and I want to keep it light. At the end of the day, this is a business. If you want me to represent you, say, "Dear David, I am writing to you because you're this person, and I like this about you, and I like the fact that you represent those authors, or I like this." Be professional. Be careful when you're writing a letter, because it's attention to detail that I look for. Because I think if you send me a letter, and this is absolutely true, I've had letters, "Dear Carol, dear Elizabeth," why I understand that you're sending it to a number of agents because you're looking for an agent, and you've determined these are the agents you want to work with, but you fall at the first hurdle by getting my name wrong. Why that attention to detail is really important. That I don't want you to tell me the synopsis in the letter, because you're going to send me a separate synopsis, but I do want you to give me your pitch for the novel, and I would just want you to treat it like a business. I want you to be professional and polite. I get letters that are I have said this before, it's true, it is true. I've tried everyone else, so I'm trying you. And I've also had, "You're not very articulate on social media, so I'm not sure you're the right agent for me, but I'm going to give you a go."
Lucky you.
That is such a bold approach. I cannot imagine. Yeah, that's.
I've tried everyone else, and I'm trying you.
You've tried the best. Yeah. Tried the rest.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the synopsis there. That's the thing that most writers dread writing. I think agents sometimes dread reading them as well. But I think people can get very caught up on a synopsis. It's difficult to condense down a 90,000, 120,000 word novel into 500 words or whatever. How much weight does that carry in the whole submission package to you?
It doesn't. And actually, I get submissions that are the really great novels and they just can't write a synopsis. That I think the great thing for me, and I always say this to writers, your synopsis is there for you to distill what your story is and to pitch it to me. But also, it's a really great way of you learning what really is your story. What are the most important parts of your story? When you're telling me when you're pitching that novel to me, what is it that you want me to know about your story? I don't need to know all the details. What are the most important, impactful aspects of your novel that you want me to be aware of? That is your synopsis. I agree. Synopses are the most difficult things to write. I will spend 2 or 3 weeks on a submission package and I will distill and distill and distill a synopsis because I really have one opportunity with a publisher. I really want to pitch it the best that I can so that they're going to read that book. Fortunately, lots of editors come back and say, what a great pitch, I want to read this book immediately. And but that is my job. I want to sell that book. So but don't get so caught up on writing a synopsis. I know lots of agents probably hate me saying that, but honestly, it's your writing at the end of the day that is going to sell your book to me, not the synopsis. I am not going to reject your book on a synopsis. I'm going to reject your book on the writing or other factors like it's too similar to a client that I represent, or it's good but it's not good enough. And unfortunately, I don't really give any feedback anymore because I literally don't have time.
Well, I mean that's what I was wondering about in terms of, you got a submission that was, so you loved the voice of the book, or the writing was really confident and strong and stuff, but you thought the book needed work. It was still plotty. It wasn't working. How much would you work with someone on that basis, or do you really need everything to kind of click into place?
No, I would work if the voice is really strong and I think this is a really terrific book and it's got potential. I will take it on. I don't think any client I've taken on doesn't need work. Everyone needs work. Everyone needs editing. But I'll only take a book to a level that I can do, and I know my limitations. I'm out on submission with a book actually right now. It's in auction at Germany. I've had 3 UK offers. That book came into me, it was 52,000 words long. It's now 76,000 words long, but we've edited that book because I could see what the author was doing and I just needed them to edit more.
Yeah.
And you've said a couple of times, obviously, you wouldn't want to sign someone that's too similar to someone you've already got on your list. But, that's one of the pieces of advice that's often given to people looking for an agent is look at the back of the book that is like yours and look for the agent and send it to them. So it sort of contradicts that piece of advice.
I suppose I should then be more clear about what I mean by that. So I wouldn't want to take on a Cumbrian-based police procedural because I represent Mike Craven, NW Craven, who writes police procedural set in Cumbria. That's what I mean. I will take on a police procedural if it's set in Glasgow. I haven't got one of those. What I'm saying is if it's too close to what I'm representing, I just can't. I wouldn't want to take on a Cumbrian-based book, and neither would Mike want me to do that. I represent 5 Icelandic writers, but they're all writing very, very different books. And that's good because they're not competing with each other. They're all writing very different books. So, and I'm not taking on any more Icelandic writers because it's expensive to translate, and it's I have 5 brilliant Icelandic writers. So, and I represent people like Kathy Lett, who writes comedic, romantic, piercing stories. I just don't want to take on another author that's writing in that market space. So that's I guess that's what I'm saying. If you're writing a police procedural and it's saying Glasgow, send it to me. I'm looking for local based and police procedural were going to be the next big thing because TV drives what people want to read, and there's a lot of police procedural stuff on TV again, fortunately. So you heard it here first.
And how do you know when you've signed someone, you've taken them on, you're working with them, you've revised the book, etc. you said that you take it to the limit of your ability, but how do you know when a book is ready to go out to a publisher, and how do you know who to pitch it to and who's going to take it on? Is that just experience, relationships?
Yeah. I mean, I know when I've got the book to the level that I think it's going to be bought. I might say to the author, look, there's still a couple of things that I think that they might need editing. And it's always true. Editors want to edit. I will know that when I've done enough. I'll know when I know that book is ready to go on submission, and I'll have already been thinking about who I'm going to submit it to. So I will have already started conversations. I will have had lunch and drinks with people, and I will have told them about this book that I'll be going on submission with. So they're already prepared. I don't just generally. I mean, I do send out submissions to people I haven't spoken to prior, but I'll know that that's what they're looking for, because we have a system on our databases, a database of editors. We all know, we hear from them on a 6 monthly basis what they're looking for, what their wish lists are, and we know what they're employed to do, so whichever genre that they're buying. But I meet people all the time, because I meet them as a bookseller and I meet them as an agent, and I'm talking to them about what they're looking for. So,
and you said, I think you said you had 44 authors at the moment. You know, is there, presumably there comes a time when there are too, you know, in order to be able to serve your authors, you don't want too many authors. I mean, do you try and keep it around a certain number so that you can manage all of that?
No, I'm not even thinking about how many authors I could take on more. But most of my clients are all in contract. So once they're in contract, they're working with publishers, and as long as those contracts continue, that's fine. I guess it just comes down to how much time I've got. As I say, I've got massive support I've got a brilliant assistant I've just promoted, so I need to find a new assistant. So if you know anyone, send them my way. I just make more work for myself by promoting people. But she's such a talent. But I surround myself with brilliant people, as I say, so I get support in that way. My clients are mainly all under contract. So. And some people write 1 or 2 books every 10 years or something. So I know how to manage my clients. That doesn't mean I can take 10 more on. But I have to take on people that I think I'm going to be able to sell and I'm going to make money from, because at the end of the day, it's a business, and I need to make money because I have a lifestyle to live.
And looking forward, you know, you've mentioned before about the where you think the market's maybe going to go in terms of, you know, cozy crime, escapist stuff, police procedural things. What is that kind of stuff that you're looking for now? You know, what is that? Is that where you think the market really is heading? Is that we're going to see less horror, dark stuff, more cozy? No, I'm
not looking for anything, because by the time I've taken on a client right now, by the time it gets published, it's going to be 2027. The market's going to have moved on. I never buy to fill a market. I take on authors because I love their writing. I'm open to anything. I don't tend to take on any science fiction fantasy, because Harry does brilliantly with that. What I'm looking for are great storytelling. It could be historical, it could be contemporary, it could be crime, it could be a thriller, it could be anything, as long as it's great storytelling. If a cozy crime came in, I would look at it, but I wouldn't take it on just because I know that there's a lot coming out next year. But do I really want to take on another one when there's a lot coming out next year and the market might have moved on in 2027? Mm-hmm. Because the book won't be published now until 2027 if I took it on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think like that.
So I mean, if there to wrap it up, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to an aspiring author right now, what would it be?
First and foremost, please don't rush anything. Don't just finish your novel and then just send it out on submission. Finish your novel, put it away, or just leave it. start thinking about something else. Go and do something else. I don't know, take pottery up, or do something for a couple of weeks, do something different. Then go back to that novel with fresh eyes. And if you really believe that that book is as best as you can write and that you literally couldn't do any more to it, then it's right to go on submission. And then think about the agent that you really want to represent you. And there are some really brilliant agents out there. So think about maybe 6 or 7 agents that you do your research. Who do they represent? What kind of deals are they doing? Go to thebookseller.com, the magazine, see what kind of deals that they've recently done. Look at how effective they are in the marketplace. What are they doing that's new and innovative, and how approachable are they? How are they going to? Are you going to be able to work with them? Do they come across as a great person? If you think they're the kind of people you want to work with in business, then you approach those people, and send your submission to them, and send a really professional letter, get the name right, and do the best synopsis that you can, and then hope for the best. I mean, those are the basics. Just go to the agents that you think that you would work well with, and don't just send out a mass mailing to 30 agents and hope one of them. I mean, take it seriously. Why do you want those agents to represent you? And I think tell them the reason why you want them to represent you, and why you think your book would appeal to them. Just treat it like a business.
Yeah. Those were the main questions we had. We always wrap up the podcast with the same questions to our guests. The first of which is, what was the last book that you read, given you read so much?
So the last book, can I say a manuscript or a book?
Whatever you want. Really.
Yeah, either's fine.
So there's not work. I've just finished reading Jenny Godfrey's The Barbecue at Number 9.
Right.
Which is her second book. Her first book was called The List of Suspicious Things. I absolutely loved it. I can see what she's doing in her books. That it was incredible. So that's not one of my clients' books, because I've been reading a lot of my clients' books. So that's the last book that I read, I believe. Or was it The House of Wolf by Tony Robinson? Anyway, I've read both of those books recently. Loved them both.
Thanks. What about the last film that you watched? What was that?
Not a big TV watcher. I can't remember the last film I watched, actually. The last thing I watched on TV was called The Jinx, which is a true story about a man who is accused of killing people.
He's caught on a hot mic, essentially.
Yeah, goes to the bathroom at the end.
Spoiler!
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah, nice. It's a very good documentary, though. Yeah,
it was a very good documentary. And at the end, because I thought, how's he going to? He's going to get away with this, isn't he? Because he's just so dismissive about everything. But then he goes to the toilet, but he keeps his mic on.
I mean, it's so stupid. It's almost unbelievable what he says and the kind of the Scooby Doo type villain.
I killed them all.
Got away with it. Yeah, no, yeah. I was like, could you have said anything more perfect on that camera?
But really remarkable, the arrogance of him. He really felt like he was untouchable. Like he was what I would call a sociopath narcissist. I mean, he really believes that he is beyond reproach. And have
you watched the film version of the Ryan Gosling and Kirsten Dunst film version? It's called All Good Deeds, I think, and it's about him, but it's the same person who made The Jinx made that film first,
right?
And then I think the Robert guy got in touch with him and was like, that story, that film's a total load of crap. Come interview me, I'll tell you the truth. And then that's what they did. Yeah, went in the toilet and said it himself. Yeah,
good to his word there.
Yeah. I rarely watch TV. I kind of binge watch episodes on a series over a weekend, like a Sunday afternoon, something like that, when I just need to turn off. And Sunday afternoon is my time with my husband, where we relax as we work so hard. And because I tend to, he's a writer, so he's constantly writing, and I'm kind of catching up with emails and admin and work on a weekend. So Sunday afternoon is when I binge watch like a whole series. It's 6-7 episodes or something.
Nice. Brilliant.
Well, thanks very much for coming on. That was great, David.
No, thank you for having me.
That was a fantastic chat with David. I really enjoyed that. As I've enjoyed all these agent chats so far, and they've all been, very interesting. They've all brought their own little viewpoint. I think, as kind of individual as they all are, as they're all unique in terms of how they look at submissions and what they think about and what they're looking for and how they approach edits, etc. I think the dominant story that they've all kind of said so far is how hard it is right now in the market to get your book sold and get it out there. And David wasn't any different. He seemed to have quite a view that debut authors especially are finding it difficult to kind of break through that and to get bought and to get sales. It's
which
quite a depressing.
I do understand. I mean, there are a lot of books published every year. So on one end of that is that you think, well, why isn't my book getting sold then? Because if lots of books are being... But the trouble is that because there's so much choice, it's difficult. And maybe people are being not just the financial stuff that he was talking about, which is very true as well, but also maybe people are sort of overwhelmed by the amount of debuts and stuff, and they don't know which to pick, so they end up going for the established names. So I'm not sure, but it's a shame, obviously, because you need debuts, you need new authors, you need new voices in the publishing world, obviously. And I think, it's something that we do hear from our author guests as well, that people that have not sold on, they've got an agent, but then they've not sold their first, second, or even third book, and it's just harder to do. And I feel that's like almost a hidden, unless you're in this world, it's a hidden thing. People think, oh, you've written the book. They may know you need an agent, but they think if you've got an agent, then you'll sell your book or whatever. But it isn't always the case, and it's not necessarily down to the standard of writing. It's just down to the timing and down to the market and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think that is exactly why we're seeing so many people. There was that when we chatted about this on Adventures in Publishing Land 2 episodes ago, I think, about the kind of reliance on established names and how these big names are more and more the kind of beating heart of so many places, because they are reliable sales, because they know they're a sure thing and they're less risk, I suppose. Which is, I totally see where that comes from, but it's not. You want publishing to keep opening up and keep taking risks and bringing in new voices and trying different things, and so hopefully we'll get back to that at some point soon. I think it'd be a shame.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But thank you very much to David for taking the time to come and speak to us, because as we heard, he's a very, very busy man. So some great insights there. And our industry run continues next week, but not with an agent this time.
No, next week we're chatting with an editor, the editor of Luna Press, the wonderful Francesca Barbini, who we actually interviewed live in our studio in person in Edinburgh just last week. And it was a really fun chat we had with her about what it's like running a small press, how a small press differs from a larger place in terms of strengths and weaknesses, and how she got to go and how she got into that. And is that something which perhaps you're interested in doing? I know there's a lot of people out there who love the creative industry and stuff, but maybe don't want to go down the writing route. But I think there's a lot of information we've had from so many agents and editors about how they've gotten into their roles and into the behind the scenes stuff. So lots of that stuff as well, if that's what you're interested in. Yeah.
So it's a really great chat as well. So please do tune in for that one. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please do take the time to rate and review us in your favourite podcast app, as that helps us to continue to get great guests on the podcast.
Of course, and if you want to get in touch, just as always, drop us an email at podcast@rightgear.co.uk. Find us on all the social medias. Just search for @UK Page One. Go onto YouTube, leave a comment below the video. The usual reiteration of only nice comments, please. Don't slag us off. Our egos are already fragile. As writers,
that's it. But also, just to mention it as well, obviously we are part of the Step Podcast Network, so you can also find us on their various feeds as well. So and there's some other great shows on there as well. But in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll speak to you next episode.
See you later.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode like these ones down here.
And if you want to get in touch, you can do so by finding us on our social media platforms up here, or drop us a comment way down below there.
But otherwise, thanks for listening and join us for the next episode.
See you later.